What's up, guys? Welcome to our podcast, Do Something Meaningful. This is a platform that we've created for our nieces, our nephews, our sons, and our daughters. This is for the next generation, the next person who's going to do something meaningful with their life, with their time in this world. You've been waiting to start a business, you've been waiting to start a podcast. This is the reason for you to start. Get started. Start now. Enjoy the episode. Okay, welcome to the podcast. Good to have you. Last time I wasn't with you, so I'm happy you're joining this time.
Yes.
And we have a lot to talk about. You can give me your thoughts on past podcasts and past videos, what you think so far. But later, I want us to talk about this book. I mean, some things from this book. It's called
Okay.
Homo Deus by Yuval Noah Harari, A Brief History of Tomorrow. Just some concept from this book. For example, it quotes here, war is obsolete. You're more likely to commit suicide than to be killed in conflict. Famine is disappearing. You're more at risk of obesity than starvation. Death is just a technical problem. Equality is out, but immorality is in. What does your future hold? A brilliantly original, thought-provoking, and important study of where mankind is heading. Homo Deus will shock you, it will entertain you, above all, it will make you think in ways you had not thought before. So these are just comments from people in media houses who reviewed the book
Oh, okay.
from reading it. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I got it as a gift from one of my friends from university.
Yeah.
She's from Bulgaria, and she gave me this gift. I think it was on my birthday, and we had talked about it in class as well.
Yeah.
From my professor, one of my lecturers. But yeah, I had a lot of life-changing experiences in university. That's why last time I had a podcast about the places, this is geographical, and
Yeah.
the places that you go to and you go through in life are really important. Where I am today, I give credit to the places I've visited because those places had people, those places had resources, had an environment that brought out something from within me. I believe that we come to this world with everything full package inside, like a seed into the ground. And then when the right condition, the right people, the right environment comes in, the seed germinates.
Nature.
My time in university doing my master's was one of the significant parts of my life in terms of my gifts, discovering myself. And obviously I made friends, I made business partners, and my first experience in university is where I met my wife. So it's places are really like life changing. That's why movement. I think in science, basic science, we learned that one of the proofs, one of the signs of a living creature is movement.
Yes.
So proof that you're alive is you move. When you're not moving, there's happening. So
Even shape
movement.
mentality and your thought process when you change the geographical area, when you're in Zimbabwe and you stay there for 10, 15, 30 years, all your life, that's all you know. So your mind is sort of like in a shell and it's in a box. But the moment you get to another country and you see different people, different cultures, you start to appreciate, and you start to, appreciation in terms of like your mentality, your mental level. You'll never be the same again. And when you go back to the normal settings, you go back to Zimbabwe where you grew up, where you were born, you're a different person altogether. Even the challenges that you face, they are now different. You tackle them differently because you have seen another world now. I think it's very
Yeah.
that you can, and especially meeting people, meeting different types of people, interacting with other people, it really opens up your mind. Yeah, that's a good,
Yeah.
like, traveling.
You understand more about yourself because people give you feedback, things that your family maybe never talked to you about.
Yeah.
People will tell you, oh, you're so funny, or you're so intelligent, or you're so like this, you're so something. You're like, oh wow, am I really like this? Because people who are used to you, people you grow up with, they're just used to you, like, oh, that's him, that's her, yeah, she's like that, but they don't really bring out that you and what's different about you. They're just used to you.
That's
They're just
true.
like, that's what he does. Yeah, so it's a gift to be around people who are different and They give you feedback and you learn more about how to interact with them as you in that environment, all that. So what I wanted us to talk about, why I brought out that book, was because I think life as we know it in the world is changing a lot because of technology, because of the geopolitical environment. And obviously this week has been hot. This past week has been hot with the US tariffs on every country, China specifically as well, and the trade war and stuff. So I thought about it. I mean, there's always a lot of things to talk about. And because this podcast is unscripted and we speak from the heart and we just share our real experiences,
Yeah.
which I think that is really important to do, have a platform where we share things that are unscripted. I know it's good to plan, it's good to structure, but me being a spiritual person, I feel like when I am on this platform, which I feel it's God inspired in the first place, and
Yeah.
then also when I'm in the platform, I feel like it's like a channel that I open up, like an altar, is like a channel I open up for the heavens to sort of like deposit, So
Yeah.
like I download Revelation during the podcast, so I
Right.
don't script it. I don't script it. It just happens that when I'm here and I'm expressing myself, I become a channel
Mm.
and God speaks through me, and information that has been stored within me already just comes out.
Yeah.
After all, rivers of living water flow out of me. So obviously, because this podcast is relevant and it's for future generations, they are going to want to understand what was our perspective, what was our experience when these things happen, because this is such a pivotal part of human history. Like what is happening now it hasn't happened before, and we're not sure, but we'll see how things will turn out
Yep.
as events unfold. But why I brought out that book was also because Yuval Noah Harari, who is a professor in Israel at university, he teaches history, professor of history, historian studies or something like that. And because I believe that when we learn from our history, we can extrapolate where we're going based
Mm.
on our history. Like the example I gave the other time, that we know this is where the door is, that's where the exit sign is. So you're not gonna go back when you know where you've come from. You can figure out the way forward. So he estimates that because of improved technology, life becomes easier. So the hunter-gatherer period, the rock ages, the stone ages is done. We don't struggle to get food anymore.
Yeah.
Food is so much abundant that the new challenge now is not starvation, but obesity, eating too much, eating the wrong food. And he also mentions that when in the new age of information, information is now a lot. So the issue is not about finding information. The issue is about what is true and which information should I focus on.
Yeah. The quality of the information you get.
And he was saying that we wouldn't have to go to war anymore. We just simulate, whether it's AI, whether it's in some controlled environment, we simulate what the war result will be. So before two countries even fight or go to war, they just simulate and predict the result, because the technology is so efficient, so intelligent, so accurate of predicting events and outcomes that it will already know the result. So you just go to your AI and predict, if these countries go to war, what will the result be? What will be the cost? What will be the damage?
Wow.
And because both countries already know and believe that this technology is really good, because everyone is working towards making it good and making it better. Every country now is competing to produce the best model of AI, the best, all this. So everyone will believe already in the competence of this and the accuracy of this AI technology, that they will just predict, and whatever the outcome is from there, everyone just agrees, okay, you're going to win this war. We can see from the prediction. So we're not going to hold any weapons, because we already know the result
Right.
already.
Right.
So there's no need to fight. We already know the outcome, unless another variable changes. So what we'd rather focus on is changing the variables and come back to the AI and check again who's
Yeah.
the winner now. And then whoever is losing at that point has less leverage for negotiation of whatever is being negotiated, until the variable changes and we go back to the technology again. So there's no need for actual war because we already know the result. So that's what he was proposing as a hypothesis.
Use those results as the basis of negotiations and be like, look, let's talk because this is not going to work for you.
Yeah. So unless someone is stubborn to, to refuse the result of the technology prediction, then they'll want to actually fight.
That really piques my brain, to be honest. It does. It does. Because you start to wonder about a lot of things. You start to think about a lot of things, not in just like this context, in other contexts as well, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what the book talks about. And one particular thing I wanted us to talk about was, and now that these tariffs are in place and manufacturing is being brought back to the US, right? Because why China does manufacturing for a lot of things in the world, why China is like the factory of the world, right? And more like US is a like entertainment service hub, maybe cars in some sense, but usually things like Google and Facebook and like very technological and service like products are from the US that we use all over the world, right? But then in terms of production and manufacturing, I think China is the leader in that area. And if things are going to go back to US doing their own manufacturing, life as we know it changes because I've been seeing some AI videos of Americans assembling phones for Apple and, all that factory line arrangement, just like we know things are done in China, but in the American context now wearing some red hats, American flags, and all that. And it means that life as we know it is now going to be different if this trade war continues. And why I go back to this book is because it also predicts that when technology improves and becomes so good and things become autonomous, right? Like the AI is doing everything, the technology is doing everything. People don't have to do routine work anymore because it's all automated now. So less routine work will be done by people and it will be done by automation. So things that are repetitive, when things are standardized, things are repetitive, it can be done by a machine because we already know what needs to be done and how it should be done. And it's done over and over. So people don't have to do it because for a person, it's boring. And this is where this podcast is relevant about doing something meaningful. Because if I pay you to dig a hole, and then after you finish digging it, I tell you to fill it up again, and I will pay you a lot of money.
Yeah, it's monotonous.
You might do it once.
Yeah, it's more. And at some point, I'll feel like this is ridiculous.
So you might do it once. You might do it one time, digging a hole and filling it up again. You might do it for the money the first time, and you might do it 1 or 2 times. But at some point, you're going to jump into that big hole and stay there because your life is going to become so meaningless without purpose. Right. So that's where meaning comes in play because we don't have to do repetitive tasks anymore. And it means that we get more time to think about our lives, what we actually want to do about our lives, because work or hard work becomes automated. The machines do the heavy lifting. The technology does the heavy lifting. And we get to work on things that are more human, like conscience, like truth, like morality, right and wrong, and helping the machines decide what is right and what is wrong, and in helping them with the human part of things because they don't have empathy, they don't have the human intelligence, you see. So he also predicts that there's going to be more entertainment based business and more consumption based businesses because people have more disposable income. And people will be staying at home and working from home more and more because at the factory, at the company, the machines are doing the things, they're doing the work. So you have more time. Your time is to make decisions now, to make strategies now. Your time is to decide which design looks better. After the AI does the work, you decide, I want option A or option B or option C. You just pick and you go back to your family. You come back after an hour, you decide which product do you want, what do you want to change. You just review on the human basis because these products are going to be consumed by humans. So you test them as a human and you see, are they right for the human consumption? Because as a human, because they've been produced by a machine, but as a human, you decide, how do I want to use them? Is the experience okay? Do they feel good in my hands? Because they feel good in the machine's arms, robotic arms, but do they feel good in my actual hands? Does it feel good on my face? This product. So that's the things that human beings will need to do, and then separating from what machines need to do. So there's going to be more consumption of Netflix, more consumption of YouTube, you see. So this is why this is also a huge opportunity to reach out to people, because more people are going to be watching YouTube. More people are going to be spending time on YouTube, on Facebook, on social media, on Netflix, watching entertainment. Why? Because there's going to be more time to do that and less time at work, because work will become easier, so to speak. It will become less manual and more human decision, human intelligence based.
Beautiful.
So I don't know what you think about that.
I need to get my hands on this book. That's for sure. I need to get my hands on the book
Hmm. You
because
should.
it's true. Because even just now, looking at how things are going, people want to work from home. Everyone is like, if I can get an online job, I can stay home with my family. I can take care of my kids. I can, I can still live my life and then still have a job. It's no longer where you work 12 hours and 9 to 5. You have no time with family. People want to interact. People want to post on TikTok that they went to this place and that place. People want to travel, especially I know in the US, people move around a lot around summer. People go to Florida, people go to California and everything. So a work from home job would definitely fit into your life. So that makes yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a very good prediction that he made based on his study of history and how we've come to the century we're in, and we've evolved as humans and also as societies and also as technology. So I think it's a pretty good prediction. And I love that because we have more time to do meaningful things, because it's not meaningful to dig a hole and fill it up again, even though with the reward of the money. It's not a meaningful thing to screw on a screen on a phone 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. Same thing. When it comes to you, same thing,
Yeah.
same thing,
Just
over and over.
Yeah, just to add on that, if you're doing something that is not meaningful for money, at some point, when you have enough money from whatever you are doing, you are going to want out. So
Mhm.
it becomes meaningless because you have all this money and you're like, okay, I wanted the money. Now that I have the money, this thing that I'm doing is no longer worth it. It's not fulfilling. So
Yeah,
you get to a point where you're stagnant and you're like, okay, I can quit.
yeah. And also that considering that you have time and limited time in the world, you have time in the world and you have to look at your life and consider, what am I going to do with my time while I'm on this earth? Am I going to spend my time, all my healthy ages, all my healthy time working, doing something repetitive, something that can be automated, doing something that I don't really feel like I fulfilled my purpose on earth? Because this is a burden that should be in everyone's heart, that they should feel a sense of there should be more to this than just this. Is this all? Is this it? I just do this for the rest of my life and that's it? Is that it? I think for someone who lives a life of purpose, they feel like I should have time to travel and enjoy what is in the world. I should have time to spend with family and friends, make new friends. Because when you're working in a factory 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, or 6 days a week, there's no time to travel. There's no time to make new friends. There's no time to enjoy, I don't know, 200 plus countries that are in this world, to travel and see what others are doing, how others live like.
You can't even enjoy the money that you're making. You can't even spend it because the day off that you get, you want to sleep,
Exactly.
you want to rest your. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, you make a valid point.
Yeah, you want to rest. That's the thing. And on the spiritual side of things, we are not just body, we're not just mind, we are also spirit. We're actually initially spirit and then soul and then body. So if we are spirit and then we need to live our lives on this earth, we will always feel that call. The deep will always be calling unto the deep, saying, you are here on earth. Have you done what you came to do? Have you fulfilled your job? Have you done what you're supposed to do? That burden will always be there. At least for me, it is there. So
Yeah,
that's why I try to express myself in different ways. I try to make an influence in different ways, in different platforms. Everywhere I've been, I've made sure I've made an effort to do something meaningful, to do something that aligns with my calling, to do something that I feel like from the inside I was sent here to do. Everywhere, I guarantee you.
yes, to do something that leaves a mark. At least people remember there was a munya, there was a silence somewhere at some point. Yeah. And I remember this quote which said that we are spiritual beings trying to be human. So
Exactly.
every day that you're living, you're actually a spirit. So when you're trying to cope and you're trying to understand, like, oh, why did this happen? Why did I do this? It's because you're a spirit who's questioning your human motives, your human feelings and everything like that. So I always said, like, if there's another Bible, I want my name to be in there. If there's another Bible to be written years later, at least my name should pop up somewhere that at some point there's a woman who had faith. She did A, B, C, D. She was a woman of faith and something like that. So, yeah. And no one can answer those type of questions from your life. Sometimes you really sit down and think. I remember when I was at home in Zimbabwe, I had this conversation with Dad, and I said to him, I do not believe that God made me and brought me to this earth so that I can be eating food and sleeping at home and going to school and going through the life cycle just to die one day and that's over. I believe that there's a purpose. There's one thing that God said, if she's here on earth, things will make sense in this area. If she's here, things are going to be complete in this certain area. So I want to discover what that is. And I'm not going to
Yeah.
stop until that is fulfilled. And no one can tell
Yeah.
me from inside. It does come from inside. And he said to me, well, for me, it was just, I guess we have different personalities and different goals. But for him, he said, mine is done. I wanted to have a
Yeah.
life where I can see my kids make it. I can see my home being a healthy home, being a fruitful home, and I've done that. So I am fulfilled. Like, well, congratulations to you, but I haven't gotten there yet. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's interesting because it is part of the reason why we are here on earth, When God made man and woman, he told them, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth.
Yeah.
So to have a family, to have a relationship with people, to have an expression of your love, which is
Yeah.
your children and your wife and your family, that is also part of the purpose. That is something meaningful. That is something of purpose that brings fulfillment to your life. I mean, this is all over research. This is like common knowledge. You are more fulfilled and you are happier when you are in an environment of love and of family. People who love you, people you can love back. That is an environment that is fulfilling for you. If not the family you're born in, then the family that you create that comes out of you
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
also an environment, is also a conducive environment for that love to be expressed and enjoyed as well. So I think to his point, yeah, I mean that's one part of it. And for people, some people are called even for a higher calling. Some are called to run countries, leaders of the world. Some are called to, be innovators to create different technologies. Some are called to start businesses that will change our way of life. So it's all different. Everyone has a different calling and it's inside and we see it. And for some it's obvious and for some it's not. And for some it takes time. And for some they're late bloomers. And I think I was reading somewhere where people who started businesses late, the KFC founder and people like the founder of the Virgin Group, what's his name, Branson?
Even the founder of Ford as well. I think he was 44,
Yeah.
40. Yeah.
You see, so I don't know why I'm forgetting this Branson name, but he's like British. Yeah, he founded the Virgin Group. He started as a music records company and is now Virgin Atlantic. Also goes into space as well. So yeah, on that note, I'm thinking you just said that I want my name to be, if there's another Bible, I want my name to be in the Bible. When I
Yeah.
mentioned that this is unscripted and this is a channel, an open heaven, and we express ourselves through it, I was thinking about that earlier because the people who are in the Bible, when they were living their lives and doing the things they were doing, they were not saying, oh, camera start, we're now doing this to record it so that
Right.
it's put in the Bible,
Right.
so that the future generations can read about us and say, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Isaiah, Jeremiah did this. of course, those who were instructed to write down certain things or give certain messages to Israel or write down on scrolls or whatever, given these instructions to record it, yes, Moses was given instructions to put things on the tablet of stone, right? The laws, so that give to the people, right? So, of course, there was those instructions so that the messages of God are preserved, right? But when these people were living their lives, they did not consider it that they were going to be part of a Bible. They did not even think there was something going to be called a Bible when they were living their lives. But God was expressing himself through them. God was interacting with them. God was involved in their affairs as they were living their lives. And why the Bible is because it's inspired by the Spirit. And why it is the Bible is because it is an archetype, which is a typical example of how our lives will be or ought to be.
Right.
Because nothing is new under the sun. There's always an Abraham, an Isaac, and a Jacob. There's always a Lot, there's always an Esau, there's always a David, a Solomon. So all those people in the Bible were included there as examples, as archetypes, as standards that we can look at of how personalities, how lives and behaviors are, and how you end up and how you live your life. So they were not just put there so that we can emulate. We don't want to be like Solomon, being wise and have 1,000 wives and 800 concubines. We don't want to be like Solomon, right? We don't want to be like David and murder people and take someone's wife, right? We don't want to be like Lot, who drinks so much and sleeps with his own daughters, right? We don't want to do that. But there's good things about them that was also written that we can learn from. But we can also learn about their personalities from there. And we can also see what their lives were like then. And we can also find those same people in our daily lives. I'm sure you've met a David. I'm sure you've met a Solomon. Someone with a kingly anointing, with a kingly warrior fighter in him. You've met him. He's a leader. He's bold. But he has the weakness of women. Right? You've met him. In your mind right now, you're thinking about someone. Yeah, maybe you're close to them. Or maybe, you know,
Yeah.
so everyone in the Bible is like that. You've met a Jacob who is a hustler, a crookster, but they are blessed, right? So
It's like a template, the Bible is like a template for sure. It fits in someone's story for sure. It does. And it covers everything.
definitely.
Yeah, everything and everyone is included. No man is left behind.
Yeah. So some people might consider it an old book, but it is not an old book. It might be written by old people, but it's not an old book because why it was recorded and why it was inspired by the Spirit is because all these people, we can find them in our modern day. So we are already in the Bible. We just have to open it and look and find, where am I in the Bible? I might be described in a chapter. I might be described maybe in the New Testament where there's not so much of daily lives, dramatization. It's more like values and virtues being explained, like patience and kindness and don't keep record of wrongs and all this. These are things that you can embolden in your life and live by, right? These are things that can be part of your characteristics, your makeup, your everyday life. And then in the Old Testament, we can find them in character and daily life form. A story of this is told. He did this with his brother. He did this with their sister. He did this with their parents. He went and he started a farm. He planted in a drought and he made this profit and he raised animals and this happened. All this happening there is exactly what is happening nowadays. It's just a different form. Maybe we are not in an agrarian economy where we depend on sowing and also rearing animals, although we still do that. It could be something in a different version, more digital, but it's still the same concepts, the same behaviors of people. We still find prostitutes and harlots in the Bible, and we still find them being a beginning of generation of David, and even Jesus comes from the Rahab, the harlot, the prostitute, from that lineage of that family. So, which gives us a hope that even from the most despised places, most despised wombs, can still come something that is amazing,
Yeah.
something that can be celebrated by everyone in the world.
But can still use those people. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the hope that the Bible gives. That's the importance of the Bible. I mean, one of the roles that the Bible plays in our lives, that it's ageless, it's timeless, and it knocks in that wisdom from back then and through generation. We can see it's almost it's prophetic. It's prophetic because if you behave in a certain way, the Bible already tells you how you're gonna end up.
Yes. Yes, it
If
does.
you behave like David, you end up like David. If you behave like Solomon, you end up like Solomon. It's been traced through time and in history. We know this. This is what's going to happen. So when
Wow.
we meet someone, they are behaving in a certain way, we can tell you are going to end up like this.
You can tell
Not
the end.
because we're seeing a vision. It's because it's already written. Your life, like the way you are living it, you're going to end up like this.
You're following
So that's the
a certain script, and these are the results.
So that's why it's interesting for me that why I said this is unscripted and why this is because we're letting God speak through us, we're letting God lead our lives, and we know that whatever happens with us is God expressing himself through us, and this is our Bible now. This is our Bible now.
Yeah, and it also gives us a lot of wisdom. When you go through the Bible, no matter the generation, it still applies. It still applies no matter what you're going through. Sometimes you just open a verse and you're like, wow, God is speaking to me right now. But this was written years, ages ago. Probably the person who wrote it could not even fathom that years later, 1,000, 2,000 years, it's going to apply to someone's life and it's going to save
Yeah,
someone's life. Someone is about to commit suicide, and then they're like, you know what, before I do this, let me just go through this chapter, and then it all goes away. But then at the end of it, the person's like, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I received eternal life when I got born again. I received eternal life, so I have life now. I
yeah,
don't have to die, something like that. So I really really appreciate most of the stories that are in the Bible, and I'm even trying to get like little books of stories of Moses, stories of David, stories of Noah building the ark for the baby, so I can be reading those stories. And the fun
yeah,
part, when I read those stories, I actually discover something new. I'm like, I didn't know that.
yeah,
No, yeah, So they're also made in the simplest form. So the
yeah,
English, it's very easy to understand. It's very direct. So I'm very excited, and I thank God that we have something to follow. If we only had prophets who can hear from God, and then when we mature enough to hear from God, and then now we can start to understand certain things, I don't know how that would look, but at least now we have the Bible. We have the basic principles to
mm,
look at. We have something to refer to and say, okay, God, I'm going through this. Let me read a chapter and let me hear what God said back then to see what
yeah,
is right now, and it still applies. And it says Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So you will still, it's amazing how you still feel the Holy Spirit move in your life when you read the Bible. It
yeah.
is to think that that same power that raised him from the dead is still alive right now. So I think I love
That's
how
true.
we have the Bible and to learn those principles to improve our lives, to take care of situations. Sometimes even in marriage, you can sit down and say, oh, today, God, what's going to happen? And you read the Bible, and then you're like, you know what? I can be a better wife. Maybe it's not the other person. I can be a better wife. Yeah. So
Yeah,
very vital, especially you just said like now there's a lot of information, anything you want. If you want to search on marriage, you can go on the internet. There's probably 1 million people have been married before, some are now divorced, some are very good in marriage. You can get the advice online, but at the same time, you can always start with God. Go into the Bible, look at marriages, look at what Jesus said about marriage, look at role models in there, and what Paul even said. Paul spoke about marriage as well. And then you can,
yeah,
pray and start from there. It will really, really help, rather than just going to the internet where there's also a lot of junk on the internet where you can even learn the wrong things, and you have the wrong mindset, and your scripted life will come in the negative way for sure.
yeah. It's also good to know that the Bible is consistent throughout. So if you learn a principle in one area, you can double check it in another principle in the same Bible. And because you are using the Bible as a standard and also believing that it's been inspired by God, then that gives assurance to the substance and the truity of the information. that the information actually has power and it's actually true and actually real and it actually is beneficial. That's a good thing, that there is someone behind it. There's God who is behind it, who is ready to perform according to his word. If you say, God, I followed this and this result didn't come, can you prove to me that you are real? Can you back up your word?
Yes.
He will back up his word. And so that's the good thing. It's not just information that is just in words. It's not just text.
Yeah.
It's inspired. It's words that if you say to yourself in your heart, if you say it out, then it becomes something spiritual, something that connects you to your divine maker. So that's really helpful as well about the Bible.
True. True.
I want them to know that um, the Bible is very pivotal to a meaningful life. The Bible is full of, just besides the poetry, besides the art of how it was written, how it all comes together, 66 books that are
Mm.
unimaginably brilliant. From the first book to the last one, it's all connected,
Yeah.
which cannot be a work of no man. It is so divine. It's amazing how it comes together. Besides that, I want them to know that the Bible is a record of real stories of real people who lived here on earth. And that is the outcome of their lives based on their interactions with God, how they follow the voice of God. And when you follow the voice of God in your own time, in your own age, whatever context and environment is going to be, you will turn out and end up with victories like David. You turn up and end up with wealth like Solomon. If you follow the way of the Lord and his wisdom as he directs, you follow and end up with blessings like Jacob and blessings like all the people in the Bible. One major and most important character in the Bible is Jesus, who is an archetype of the worst thing that could happen to the best person ever who has ever lived. The worst thing that would happen to the best person who has ever lived. He was righteous. He was blameless. He didn't sin. He didn't do any wrong. The government turned on him. His friends, his family, all turned on him. And even worse, his God turned on him, abandoned him. He said, oh Lord, why have you forsaken me? His friends denied him. People he trusted in his inner circle, people he held close to him. He grew up with some of them. They said, we don't know him. I've never seen that man in my life. They said it. They
Wow.
rejected him. And the government ruled horribly, terribly against him. An innocent man. They gave the law to the people. Who do you want? This innocent guy or Barabbas?
Yeah.
They chose Barabbas, a common thief and murderer that they knew. They had actual evidence. That guy, I remember him killing my neighbor. That guy, he stole my clothes on the line. I know that guy. And then with Jesus, he healed my neighbor. But so even the people turned on him. Everyone turned on him. And yet he lived a life that was blameless. He didn't sin against anyone. He didn't sin against God. And still, he died on our behalf so we don't have to die. And he's alive today so that we can live.
That's true.
So that's important, that I want my future generation to know that Jesus is the perfect example to follow. You don't have to die though, because he already did.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah, you can live the life that he lived, a beautiful and wonderful life. And you can live a life with a purpose that is heavenly, a purpose that is glorious. And having a purpose that is heavenly doesn't mean you focus on heaven and forget everything on earth. No. A purpose that is heavenly means you bring heaven to earth. That's the
Yeah.
priority.
Yeah. That just reminded me of this other challenge we did with my husband the other time. We said, you've just pretend you've met an unbeliever. I'm not born again. So you have 2 minutes to convince me born again.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. But by the end of I am supposed to give my life to Christ.
That's a tough one.
It's a tough one, but to be honest, if you're doing evangelism, you don't have so much time with someone. People are already someone, they're on the phone, they're typing, they're texting somebody, or let's say you meet someone maybe just outside of the mall, and they're waiting for their Uber. Their Uber is 2 minutes away,
Yeah.
and they're looking at their phone because they're looking at that time, and you have 2 minutes. You have to talk to this person and say, you know what, hey, there's someone called Jesus. What are you going to tell them? And by the end of 2 minutes, they should have said the Lord's Prayer and accepted Jesus. You
It's
see?
a miracle. It's
Yeah,
a miracle.
but it's doable. I just pray at some point I will be able to talk in 1 minute. Talk in 1 minute. But 2 minutes is the standard for now. For 2 minutes, you just have 2 minutes to talk to someone about Jesus. I mean, it's possible. If I can talk about myself in 2 minutes and let someone know who I am, I can
Yeah.
also talk about Jesus and.
So who won the game?
Nobody won. We're still fighting at this point, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, I'm looking forward to your 2 minutes when you do your 2 minutes. I'm looking forward to hearing the 2 minutes. Like when you're ready, please record it for us so that we can send it out to people
Yeah,
who need to hear that message in 2 minutes, because I think that's brilliant.
yeah. The other thing is also like people will ask you questions, and they'll ask you very hard questions that you need to be very wise. Very wise. You need a lot of wisdom to answer some of the questions, because you're also speaking to someone who is a layman in the field. They don't even know what you're talking about, and you're trying to convince them. So you need to have the simplest answers, which are very direct, that don't cause more confusion. So it's interesting. Maybe we should also do one at some point.
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
think we can. I think we can do it. I think we can do some challenges as well in future, and I hope we can involve more people as well. And I hope that also in future we can do these characters, these archetypes, analyze each character per episode as well. Just look at their strengths and their weaknesses, what we can learn from them as well, because they were put in there for a reason, for us to relate to.
Right.
And they're all relatable. None of them was perfect except Jesus. All of them had their issue, all of them had their drama, which makes it more palatable because it shows that the human vulnerability.
Well, I think this has been very insightful, and thank you very much for
Yeah,
knowing this and bringing it up to the platform. I've been inspired to read the book. I'm definitely going to find it online and get my eyes and my hands on it.
for sure. It's quite an important book to read for this generation and the one to come. And I can't wait for the good news. My niece is coming.
Very soon, very soon. I'm
I'm
excited.
e- I'm excited. Thanks for listening to this podcast. We upload a video and a podcast every Sunday. Just look out for it. Subscribe to our channel and let us know if you have any thoughts or suggestions. Let us know if we can help you and support you to start your own podcast or to start your business. Let's help each other to do something meaningful. See you on Sunday. Cheers.